Never enough love. A central theme in my life is the difference between intellectual versus visceral knowledge. Our viscera, our guts, is where we feel things, while our heads are where we think things. Visceral knowledge isn't exactly gut knowledge, that certainty that something is so despite a lack of confirming data. Visceral knowledge is intellectual knowledge that has been lived, experienced, and reinforced so we not only think it, we know it. Theater taught me myriad wondrous intellectual things, but the greatest gift of theater wasn't expanding my head, it was expanding my heart, and Cameron Byrd provided an essential element of my heart health. I was born in 1961, but I'm older than that. I'm older than that because my parents were born in the 1920s, Mom in 1920, Dad in 1929. The age and background of our parents, our first and therefore most influential teachers, affects whom we become. Children, especially children who were reared at home rather than in child care centers or by babysitters, absorb via osmosis the attitudes and values of their parents. And my parents were early 20th century, middle-class, middle Americans. The mores of the 19th century were their mores, and they passed conservative beliefs on to me. Hard work, self-reliance, and do unto others were my parents' core values. So was homophobia. Homosexuals were anathema in my childhood household. Sex was reserved not only for women and men, but specifically husbands and wives, their own wives. Sexual conservativeness was a message delivered via word and action in the Kennel household, and homosexuality had no place in the worldview of early 20th century America. For the record, my father was very progressive for a man of his time, and one of my primary guidelines in my treatment of people is to ask, what would Betty do? Because backward as a woman born a century ago may seem in modern times, my mother was a beacon of love and civility. If my actions pass the Betty test, then they are civil and courteous. The old saw about theater being filled with homosexuals is true. There are a lot of beautiful, creative men who love men, and women who love women in theater, and my involvement with theater brought me together with men and women whom I adore and look up to. Theater troupes, I quickly learned, are teams, and they are teams teeming with love. Great! Intellectual knowledge achieved! Ding, ding, ding! Ring the bell! Yes, he can be taught! But what about visceral knowledge? That came more slowly. Mike Wilhelm, another man I met through theater, provided one of my earliest aha moments. I saw Mike on stage before I met him and loved his portrayal of Douglas Ponch in the 25th Annual American County Spelling Bee hooked me. Soon after, we were in a show together, and I made a borderline homophobic joke in his presence. Not a hate-filled statement, but an insensitive one. I soon learned that Mike was gay and did what Betty would do and apologized. The man told me he had no idea what I was apologizing for. This simple act of tolerance, love, understanding, and teamwork was a seminal moment in my path to visceral knowledge that gay is an attribute, not a definition, and that love is love. Later that same year, I auditioned for another show that Mike was also interested in. I arrived for the audition, and he, along with my friends Brian and Bryant, were sitting together at a table. Being a constant joker, I asked, "What is this, the gay table?" And one of my friends looked up, smiled welcomingly, and replied, "Yep, you want to join us?" I froze. I don't know if my hesitation was visible or not, but I know it was real. Do I want to join my friends at the gay table? Say what? What would Betty do? I sat my ass down and chatted with 3 lovely and loving friends while we waited to audition. Cameron, Miss Nevae Byrd, came into my life a short time later when we performed together in A Christmas Carol. Cameron was fun-filled, fun-loving, and a hoot to rehearse with. He is also a talented makeup and hair man, and he was helping some of the young actors with their hair. I watched as he combed and curled a young girl's hair, and he looked up to me and said, "I bet you love doing this to your little girl's hair." I replied, "I don't have any girls, just 2 boys. But you're right, I would." "Well," 24-year-old Cameron said to 50-year-old me, "you never know, it could still happen." Ha! That wagon don't deliver. Maybe a granddaughter someday. "Yeah," he said with a wink and a smile, "someday." Cameron was a treat, but it was his before-show ritual that chipped away at my ingrained, lifelong homophobia. Backstage before curtain, Cameron would walk up to each player, arms outspread, and offer us a hug and a kiss. Huh? Hugs from men? No problem. Kiss? Even a short cheek kiss? I'm an old, middle American, middle-class, stuck-up-the-butt wasp. What is he thinking? My response involved no hesitation. I opened my arms, embraced my young bird, accepted his kiss to my cheek, and felt just a little bit of my ingrained, taught, ludicrous, fear-filled intolerance slip away. Cameron Byrd kissed a little bit of it away, night after night, show after show, and for that I will always be grateful. Among the many things Cameron does, he enjoys performing in drag shows, a term right out of the 1950s. He performs regularly at Club Basics as Miss Nevae Love, the woman pictured above. If you're ever in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, you should check out Ms. Love out at Bell's Basics. By the way, one of the stories my mom Betty shared with me was a trip she took to New York City with some of her office mates in the late 1940s. Revue shows were very popular at the time, and the revue featured beautiful dancers who sang like angels. The show, she later turned, was a female impersonator show, and all the beautiful ladies were men performing in drag. Betty said she had no idea that this was so until one of her friends clued her in. Exactly, Mom. Exactly, Cameron. Be who you are, love what you do, and realize we can never have enough love in this world. Happy 30th, Cameron. Love you.